Okay, hi everyone. This is Davey McNally. We're going to get started on the June 16th, 2021 Athens City Commission on Disabilities meeting. Very nice to have everyone here today. We are just meeting quorum because we had some technical issues, but we did it. And I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and establish that we do have a quorum and do a roll call. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to you, Carolyn, on this beautiful day. You're on mute still.
Okay, this is Carolyn, and we do have a quorum. Arian's here, Lisa, JW, Noah, Cheryl, Davey, me, and we have 7 present, and Nico. Did I miss anyone?
I believe you got everyone. This is Davey. I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Noah to read our mission.
The Athens City Commission on Disabilities is a city government whose commitment is to provide a means for the concerns of people with disabilities to be heard, to advocate for public policy change, to provide expertise to the community on disabilities, and tell the community about the strengths and limitations of people with disabilities, as well as how the community can help them improve their quality of life, thereby ensuring equality of opportunity and full participation in community life for everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Noah. That was great. Let's go ahead and move. This is Davey. Let's go ahead and move on to the approval of the minutes for May. Any questions or updates that we need to make for the minutes from May 19th? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes, the May minutes.
Okay. I see a second from Cheryl. Okay. All in favor? Aye, and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I think that's unanimous approval, so we can move on to our agenda. We have a pretty light agenda for this meeting due to we just didn't really have time for committee reports because we had the mayor come in and talking to us this last time. So we mostly just have time for the committees to talk about the work that they've been doing. One quick announcement that I do have, I got a call from Patty in the mayor's office this afternoon, and she said that the state of Ohio has kind of put a stop to doing only virtual meetings. They have to be in person going forward, starting in July. So our thought process is that we would possibly, unless something changes, go to in-person meetings in July, starting with our full disability commission. There's rooms within the city building that we could use. We typically use the community center meeting room to do our meetings. So that's, a big change. I've really appreciated being able to do this virtually, especially with the committees and people, in different areas and maybe not being able to get to the meetings. But I do think it's something in the long term that we should work on, is having the option to do a hybrid meeting so that people would be able to phone in or Zoom into meetings. I feel pretty strongly about that and would be happy to work on that. It comes from the state legislature and from the governor, so we'd have to get it done in that way. Any questions or thoughts about that?
Yeah, this is JW. I'm so ready for that, so can't wait.
Can't wait on the in-person meeting.
That's right. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm excited about that as well. But I do think the option of being able to call in or Zoom in would still be helpful.
I agree.
Yeah, I as a Zoomer,
Yeah, right.
I really appreciate being able to look at all you and have me just be a black box over in the corner.
So yeah, I think we'll get some more guidance from the city on this, but I just wanted to make an announcement so that you can start planning for in-person meetings. You can have them anywhere. I think we were starting to get feedback that we were going to the city was going to continue to try and broadcast them all, but just due to resources and the amount of people working for the city, they just cannot. We have so many committee meetings, there's so many commissions, they just can't do all that. So, you can meet where it makes sense for your committees to meet, and we just have to do a public notice so that the public can attend if they would like.
So David, what you're saying that the committee should also meet in person rather than by Zoom?
That's the feedback. This is David. That's the feedback that I got from Patty, because I do know that in certain areas that it's, some of us live in places where it's hard to travel right now. So yeah, I asked that specifically, and she said that everything has to be in person that we do that's open to the public.
I'm excited to go in person again.
Mm-hmm.
This is JW. So do we go back to, and I hope so, like having the committee meetings as part of our regular commission meeting, allowing time for that, going an hour and a half or whatever.
This is Davey. I think what we'll do is continue to have separate committee meetings. We did a couple of them where the committees were getting started, where we met as a full commission for half an hour and then broke up into committees. I think we could potentially have some time to do that just as we get restarted, especially because we have some people that are moving away from Athens for new jobs and that kind of thing. So I think there's some potential to meet in our committees to kind of firm up some plans.
This is Carolyn. I think that would be good because when we were meeting in committees before, some of us were just finding our way, but now they're more solidified, and I think we'll have a lot more to discuss and talk about and get accomplished.
This is JW again. See, that's why I think we should go to an hour and a half. Think about that meeting, because there's just something in my experience that when committees can break away and meet and then come back, there's a nice synergy to that. So just a thought in the future.
Yeah, this is Davey. I think that sounds like a potential. I think Cheryl has a question.
I like that.
I do agree. I also maybe want to keep in mind the cost and effect for the interpreter as well. Typically, the interpreters have a minimum of 2 hours. So I'm not sure. I don't remember what we had set up for Nico, but I think, to have a 2 hour minimum. So why not take advantage of having an hour and a half? I think that would make sense, and we're going to save money. And that way, we can save on costs and be more cost efficient.
Yep.
This is Davey. I think in terms of interpreters, I believe most interpreters are able to go for an hour.
Just sorry, one more thing.
Oh, sure.
And also thinking about that, using Nico for those hours, we could use Nico for maybe things more like for more participation for me. So in different ways, not just like, I'm just throwing out ideas here. So I'm just having some ideas there. Thinking about maybe Nico could be more included.
I have a question.
Sorry, 1 second. This is the interpreter. I'm just clarifying. Using the hour that we have reserved for Nico, so instead of meeting 2 times a month and then paying Nico twice, we're paying Nico for 4 hours for 2 meetings. What we could do is pay Nico for 1 meeting instead, right? Once a month. And then that would we could save those other hours for other meetings. So other inclusion. So other things, maybe, other important meetings that pop up with the city, then we could budget for that instead. So I'm just throwing that out as a reallocation potentially of resources.
Yeah, this is Davey. That's something we could definitely think about and talk to interpreters. Sometimes ASL interpreters are able to provide interpreting services for an hour at a time, but then need a break in order to kind of recoup. So then sometimes with longer events, there are often 2 interpreters, I know, but this is something that I'm definitely learning about, and we can talk maybe through email and try and figure out a solution, but it's something I'm open to for sure.
Well, this is Carolyn. I have a question.
And my point was just that I'm just advocating for an hour and a half for a once a month meeting. I'm agreeing with that, to clarify.
Okay.
This is Carolyn. I have a question for Nico. Are you only to go for an hour, or can you go for 2 as 1 interpreter?
Yeah. Hi, this is Nico. It's suggested that interpreters interpret for up to an hour. Sometimes an hour and 15 is okay. It depends on how many people are there. If there's like a break in between the meetings, I feel okay to go up to an hour and a half. If there's some time in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, perhaps this is Carolyn. Perhaps if we do go for an hour and a half, for a little bit, maybe you can go and take a break and then go in the committee after a 5 or 10 minute break. Would that work?
Yeah, I think that would be. Oh, Cheryl. Yeah, Cheryl, thank you, Carolyn. Thank you for asking that question allowing Nico to answer that question. We can go ahead and work it out to make sure that Nico has a break. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do.
Great. Yeah, this is Davey. It sounds good to me. We can work out some of the details through email and make sure that we're on the same page. But I think, yeah, it's something that I would be open to doing. And I think for everyone who is a commission member, that would maybe give, kind of maybe use people's time more wisely. So there's just 1 commitment a month. There is, I'm thinking for the accessibility committee, we do a lot with city officials, so it would depend on that too. So, yeah, I think there's a little bit more to talk about and think through, but I think these are good ideas and could potentially work.
What about for us that on multiple?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There are people on a couple different committees. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, let's talk about it afterwards.
Can I talk now?
Sure, go ahead, Rose. Sorry.
Okay, well, what I found is that these meetings make life better for me. And so, and what you're saying is that hold on, that now, like there won't be any of this kind of meeting ever again, like of us being remote. I mean, like for the commission, like for example, next month. Hold on, I can't believe I'm hoarse.
This is Davey. Yeah, that happens. That kind of thing happens to me all the time, Rose. I think I got your question, and the city.
And what's like what we've done before is I've called Carolyn. She's able to, connect me to you guys. And so it is, I think that's no cost for us to have someone be there, because I'm having a hard time getting around,
Right.
Can you think of, well, we can think about it like, is there any way for me to participate without being there?
Right.
Yeah, this is
Carolyn,
That's the
David,
question.
would you ask the question for Rose? I mean, I've done this a couple of times in other situations where there's been an event and the one person who couldn't attend, we Zoomed and I just set the phone up so they could see. Wonder if we could do that for Rose.
I do not see why that would be a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's just something we'd have to ask about as a city commission, because I mean, to me, that sounds like not providing an accommodation to someone. Right. And that would, I know there's state statutes and that kind of thing.
That seems like such a conflict, like with our mission and our organization. I mean, it seems like such a conflict of interest to withhold that accommodation.
Yes.
Yeah. And certainly we could do the phone like we've done before, but still, it'd be wonderful to have Rose be able to see everyone.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, I just wanted to open that up, and we have some additional questions that we need to get answered, and some additional good thoughts that people have had that we can address as well, and figure out what to do. And we can also just kind of poll some people who aren't at the meeting today and just find out what their thoughts are too. Let's go ahead and go down to the next piece of the agenda, which is the committee reports. And I'm going to give the executive team meeting report. Some things that we worked on this past time were putting together a letter to the editor for City Council to put forth an ordinance to prohibit landlords from discriminating against people who use housing choice vouchers or Section 8 vouchers. I think while we had written that letter, I don't know that it went out because it already got approved, right, Arian?
It was. This is Arian. It was published, and thank you to Diane for getting that together so quickly. It was very well written, and we talked about that at the communications committee, and it ran prior to the night it was approved, so it was perfectly timed.
That's amazing. I had no idea. Thank you, Arian. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, everyone who worked on that. So yeah, many cities are adopting this, and it's great that Athens is sharing that as well. It just makes no sense to discriminate against someone who uses a Section 8 voucher to pay for part of their rent. So that's great. We also talked about next step with Mayor's leadership team. We did meet, I guess a month ago now, a little bit over a month ago, to talk about just a consistent framework for the city and the commission about accessibility. We thanked them, sent them an email, and asked for to follow up with us to have ongoing talks with the city's leadership to make sure accessibility is on people's minds. We also completed a form to request assistance from the communications committee to design a brochure on 7 tips for businesses, and to design a template for businesses on accessibility, which is basically like a sign to hang in the entrance about how to ask for accommodations, and where accessible entrances are, who to contact for assistance. And we hope that this makes things more accessible within the city. We're going to try and pilot this with the Uptown Business Association, part of the Chamber of Commerce, and see how that goes, especially with the older buildings. There are a lot more places of business that are inaccessible. So through doing this, we hope that I think when we went on the last walk and roll, it was interesting just how many businesses had these special entrances that unless you knew about them, you wouldn't know how to get in. And also, just if you need any sort of accommodation, who do you talk to, and how can staff be better trained to provide those accommodations to people? That being said, I think that's the full executive team report. Any questions or comments on the executive team report?
Mr. Chairman, this is JW. Can I make a shout out about something?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, JW.
I don't know if any of the city people are watching this, but I want to thank the people who are working on the building next to my building there in Schoonover. First, for the great barriers you put up, and then for being observant and helping me around those when necessary. That is so appreciated. And you did it so graciously, and you're doing it so graciously. I appreciate that so much.
Great. Shout out to the people who are doing that. I think it's always good to acknowledge when people are doing the right things. Any other comments on the executive team report? All right. If not, we will report stands. We will go ahead and head down to the accessibility report, and Noah's going to give this one.
We met on June 10th. We had a guest. It was Jessica Adini, the city engineer. We discussed a lot of stuff this time. We got updates on future projects that we've been looking at for some time now. Streetscapes that are set for construction in 2022 and 2023. These include Union, the current Stimson Lobby and last block of East State and the first block of West State. We addressed accessibility during construction as well. Jessica is going to express our concerns about the current Stimson Lobby project with the contractor this week and report back to us. The final drawings for the West Union project are due sometime in July, which we are going to get reviewed. Construction for that project is set for spring. The city is removing the stairs on 7th Street this summer, but there will be some cross-slope issues. Still, the city will be doing some curb improvement during this paving season.
And how about some macaroni salad?
Where it intersects with Court Street. Our next meeting with her will be in November or January. We started discussing our city parks, which is our next big project. We are going to start with Sales Park, Richland Park, and the West State Park. Our committee is also working with the Communication Committee to develop a brochure to give the Chamber of Commerce on signage in the 7 best ways to be accessible. Our next meeting will be on July 8th at noon, and we are going to have David Driggs, the Director of Code Department, as a guest.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much for that report, Noah. Does anyone have any questions or comments about Accessibility Committee?
I'm not sure about, this is JW, what steps are going to be removed or what stairs?
This is Davey on 2nd Street. There are stairs instead of sidewalk, and Jessica indicated that the stairs would be turned into a sidewalk. It'll be a steep sidewalk.
Great. Okay. Huh. I didn't know that.
And then I think Noah had also mentioned there were, I think, 3 other locations that didn't have curb cuts or not, to code curb cuts throughout the city. So those are getting done this summer as well. And then in August, we're planning to meet with Terry Moore and maybe some other people at the Parks Department. And I think our plan is to do a tour of a couple different places, just to have like a conversation with some city officials especially, with Parks and Rec and possibly also with Jessica about just, the general procedures that have gone into, not having certain things accessible, trying to talk about some accessible playground equipment and that kind of thing. So that's the accessibility report. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
This is Arian. Davey, ahead of, or as part of your conversation with Director Moore, we should follow up with her on some comments that she shared with me about her goals of doing a comprehensive plan on all the parks in the city. Because once as part of that, I assume that would involve doing a survey and getting feedback from the community of what it is they need and want to see in their parks. And once we know the timeline for that, we can keep an eye out for it and be sure to get that and make sure people have the opportunity to provide their feedback and let them know what accessibility needs they see and experience at our parks.
This is Davey. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And that's really good feedback about, the plan for the parks, not just doing it piecemeal, but to have like a real plan. Cheryl?
One thing that's coming to mind when you mention the parks and recreation is how can we make it more accessible for deaf people as well? I think most issues seem more focused on physical accessibility rather than communication. But it is coming to mind, I'm thinking about sometimes at parks, they'll have information about maybe like the nature or nature trails, or maybe sometimes they'll show like a video, or maybe they'll have like an audio reel of someone speaking, like, sort of like an audio booth. Where you can look at, there's different nature things. You can like press a button and it's going to like provide, it has like an audio reel that's like a description of something, but it's not necessarily accessible for deaf people. And that's just something I'm thinking about, something that's just been in the back of my mind. So I just want to make sure that not only are we focusing, on audio or oral accessibility, but also visible and visual accessibility. Maybe something related with, like nature programs and information, or maybe, some sort of, sometimes they'll just have information to be like, oh, this is a video or like a promotional thing explaining about, some educational information for this particular space. Sometimes those just like aren't very accessible.
Yeah, this is
JW. I don't want to just piggyback on this, but I do. I mean, and that the audio stuff is very helpful for us who are blind as well. I mean, the more tactile audio stuff we can have, the more accessible spaces like that are to us as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so making sure that we have there, there's both visual and audio as well. Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, I think that's great. And this is Davey. I think one thing that we'd like to do in August is to invite people, because right now we have a lot of representation on the accessibility committee with people with more, physical disabilities. So it would be nice, if we could coordinate with people who have other types of disabilities because often it really helps to have that perspective, to really like be there, to see it, to walk it. There's so many places that I know I hadn't been because it wasn't physically accessible, but now that I've been there and things have been made more accessible, now I know the potential for it and go there. And I think we could try and help people, by providing accessibility, more people will use the public spaces.
And I don't know if people know that the OU tours, you can take an audio tour, like the tours they give on campus, Diane told me about this about a year ago, and they're fascinating. You can go on and get the audio tour, and they describe as they're walking what they're looking at. It is wonderful.
Wow. We should find that and send it out in a minute, because I was just wondering myself if anything like that exists for Sells Park or exists elsewhere. Okay. And then I think having that in a visual or text-based way as well is really important, so that we kind of touch all the bases. I'm thinking of like the story walk that the Athens city library system did in Sells Park, where it's like a children's story and you like read a page, you walk up a little bit, you read another page, you walk up a bit, and it goes around the pond up there. And I can like get through like part of it, and then I'm kind of stuck. I can't get around the pond. But it would be cool if that was an option to like, listen to a story that was somehow involved in that. And also, this is really like making me think a lot about some potential things that the park system could do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, since we are on the topic of community events and accessibility there, I'm not sure if it's really the right time to bring it into the discussion, but thinking about the Athena Cinema, they sponsor films outside under the stars. And there are some issues making their program accessible for deaf people. So I'm not sure where to start maybe with that discussion. I don't know. So I'm just throwing it out there. There are some issues that need to be addressed with the Athena.
Sure. Yeah, this is Davey. I think that's a really good point. Do they offer captioning services in the park? I know that they have like days where they have captioning in the Athena, or how does that work?
Sure. They have like so for example, they might have like a science related film and the speaker. They'll have an event. It'll be outside on the lawn. It's available for the public. People can come. And so I'd asked, I think there was one night, and they were showing Batman. They had a Batman film, and then they had a discussion about, like I think it was like kryptonite is like a magic thing that Superman uses, right?
Yeah.
And so they had a person there who was coming to talk about kryptonite, that I don't know how to spell, but kryptonite, and so I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'd be really interested in going. Would you provide captions and things? They're like, no, no, sorry. And I was like, what? Okay, what? And that's the end of the conversation. Just like, I just asked, is this possible? Can we talk about it? And they were like, they're like, no, it never works out. And so I'm just wondering, if we could follow up on that or what that could be like.
Yeah, this is Davey. I think that's something we could definitely follow up on as a commission, and also as an accessibility committee. Lisa, if you could add that into the notes, maybe for us to follow up on over the next month. And is it okay if we CC you on that communication, Cheryl?
Yeah, sure. That'd be a great idea. I would be happy to do that, and to engage in email and talk to the Athena, explain about my experience with closed caption. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
This is Carolyn. One quick comment. I believe it's the College of Fine Arts that oversees the Athena. So if Lisa would make a note that maybe that's where the contact should start. I'm not sure who.
Was that College of Fine Arts?
That's Fine Arts. I'm pretty sure they oversee the Athena now.
Okay.
I believe that's correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that comment. Any other last questions or comments before we move on into our well, let me see here. What's next on our agenda? advocacy is next. I don't see Sly here tonight. And I don't believe that there is a quorum at the last advocacy meeting. Is that correct, JW and Noah?
Couldn't make it either, so.
Okay. Do you want to
Lisa,
give general feedback?
Yeah, we did not have a meeting.
Okay.
There wasn't a quorum.
Okay. So we will just kind of skip that, and we'll have to, and Sly is someone who I think is accepting a job out of state, so he will most likely be moving off of the commission. So we'd have to talk about advocacy, and that's something we can do as an exec team, as people who are on that committee, just kind of talk through that committee moving forward. Let's go down to communications. I had Claire on here as presenting, but Arian, Arian or Rose, would you mind taking the lead on that? I think.
This is Arian. Yeah, I can do that. Claire is actually taking a temporary leave from commission duties. And so I'm happy to step in temporarily and or tag team with anyone else who's on this committee. We did have a quorum at our last meeting, so we were able to go through our agenda. We talked about our progress in our letters to the editor and columns, and those have been going very well. As we discussed earlier in the meeting, both Claire and Diane successfully had their pieces published in June. And now we're looking to July to pick topics. For the column, Dr. Lewis suggested it be on the Athena Award. For the letter to the editor, we have yet to come up with a topic. One topic might be, given our discussion earlier, would be advocating the continuation of allowing virtual meetings. That might be something that would be of interest. But we are open to suggestions, and we're open to volunteers who might want to write those. Anyone want to volunteer? If you want to think about it too, that's just fine. We do have some time. So I'll follow up with the executive committee if we don't yet have assignments made here in about a week.
Okay, well, and I just unmuted myself, and so I'll volunteer to write about the virtual meetings.
Great, thank you, Rose. Appreciate that.
Yeah, this is Davey. I was just going to suggest that you're a pretty good letter writer, Rose. So yeah, I was going to suggest you.
Well, and you all got to hear, because I forgot to mute myself, you dinner order, right? I mean,
Dinner time.
Yeah, my husband was going to Miller's. He said, "Do you want anything?" I'm like, "What?" Hard to choose.
Well, we appreciate that, Rose. And I believe, Dr. Lewis, were you prepared to write the column for the Athena Award?
I will, or Barry. One of us will do it.
Okay.
Yes.
We appreciate that. Okay. So it sounds like we have assignments pretty close to being finalized. And moving on to the next item we discussed was the request from the Accessibility Committee. Noah was a guest at our meeting, and he was there to elaborate a little bit more on what is being requested of the Communications Committee. And I've tasked myself with getting the first draft together of the brochure that will list those 7 items that were provided. And also a draft of the signage. So the goal would be to have a close to finished version of those documents to the Accessibility Committee before your next meeting in July.
This is Davey. That sounds like an excellent timeline. Thank you.
Okay. We then discussed, again, Athena Award promotion. Dr. Lewis mentioned that a few names have been submitted, but additional announcements will be going out to civic clubs And we're really on target as far as timelines. We're looking to promote that more in July and August. Since, as you all know, that event doesn't happen until, is it November, correct?
November, that's correct.
Okay. Last item on our agenda was to talk about our Facebook page. With Claire now being temporarily on leave, we will need to have someone assigned to that and get administrative access to making those posts. And that's is anyone else on the commission an administrator on the Facebook page?
No, I just think it's Rose, me, Claire, and we should probably make you and one other person.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe
And I do recall there being some email messages out recently about there being a second group, perhaps a Facebook group that needs to be deactivated, which I would agree. We should just have one official page.
This is
So we can
Davey.
work on that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, this is Davey. Yeah, I thought that was a good discussion that we had. I think Noah caught that we had two different pages, and that one has very few members, I think in the 70s, and then the other one is our official page and has probably like 300 to 500, so somewhere around there. So yeah, I think the people who are administrators on that one were Rose and a former chairperson of this commission, Laura Edge. So
So it's up to me. So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do, should I just do a final posting on the old one saying we're rolling this over into
Right.
the main page?
I think that would, this is Arian. I think that'd be a good idea.
Let me know if you need any help with the new administrators on the Facebook page. I mean, I think I could take a look at it. I could see, if anyone needs help, I wouldn't mind doing some of that.
Okay, this is Davey. Let's put Cheryl on the list as well as an administrator. All the people on that committee and who are interested, I think it's good to have that.
But someone will have to explain to me what the expectations are and things like that. I don't really know what it is. And then once that's finished, I don't mind being involved.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This is Arian. We'll put that on our agenda at our next communications committee meeting, as far as maybe we can come up with a schedule where we share the load. So it's not just one person expected, and we can outline what we want to see, that sort of thing. So thank you, Cheryl, for volunteering. And I think the more we have involved, the better. The last item, well, I guess I already talked about it. It was just announcements about Claire, and we are sad to see her go, but it is temporary, and we will welcome her back when she's ready. Our next meeting for Communications Committee is July 8th at 5:30, and any of you are welcome to join us.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Quick question, Mr. Chairman, JW. Will that be the case next month, or we don't know yet? Will we go to face next month, or will those committee meetings just go on as planned?
This is Arian. That's correct. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
I think we have a little bit of clarification. This is Davey. We have a little bit of clarification that we need to get. But from what we've heard from Patty today is that we would go to in-person for July.
Right.
And if so, we need to schedule meeting rooms, do everything else. And we'll just check in with Patty one more time about some of those questions. All right. Anything else, or should we move on to education and outreach? All right, let's move on to education and outreach. And I believe that Carolyn's gonna.
So this is Carolyn. After Barry has been doing a Yo person's job and working with we finally have a prototype. And after the work that she's done with him and the way it is now, we'll be ready to share it in about a month or so. It just kind of took my breath away. It's very different. It's abstract, but you can see like owl's wings in there, and we have room to even make a braille visual on there as well. So a lot of things are happening on that one prototype, and he's working on making 6 right now. It's going to be clay. We don't know if it's going to be, what was the, JW, maybe you can help me with the product that he was going to put on top of it.
Yeah, I can't remember
I can't remember either, but so it will shine a little bit. It's not resin, it's something else.
I can't remember
Anyway,
the term.
but we're on our way.
Right.
And it's good, and we feel really good about it. So we're in the process of promotions for the Athena Award. I don't think we have any, I don't know if I misspoke then. We may have had some nominations from the past, but we don't have any names right now, so we'll be working on getting those. And we're looking at November 3rd, 5 to 6 in person at Arts West for the event this year. It's already booked, and it would be nice just to be together in person to have an award this year.
What was that again, Caroline? November 3rd, where?
That's on a Wednesday from 5 to 6 at Arts West.
Arts West. Okay, thanks.
And that's.
I was just curious. I wanted to ask about the prototype. I did see a picture and it looked really cool. There's a great design. I thought it was so abstract. Oh, I liked it a lot. And I was just curious, will it have a color? Like, will it look like sort of gold? Or I don't remember. Would you mind reminding me? I don't remember if you mentioned there was sort of like a dip or like a glaze that would be on it. Is it going to look like?
It is going to have a glaze.
Glaze.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what it's going to do. Thank you, Cheryl.
Right. It will. Yeah.
It's clay, but it'll be tannish brown with the glaze. But we think it'll be nice.
Right.
Ooh, nice.
And the thing about it, each of those of the 6 will be different in some way. They won't all be the same, of course, because they're not being mass produced. So it'll be nice to have those in a different way.
Will it be kind of iridescent?
Yeah, that's great.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rose.
Oh, I said, is the idea that it'll be iridescent looking?
I'm not sure, Rose. I know we talked about the sheen or the glaze.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure about the iridescent. So he's probably within a month or so will be able to bring one to our to commission, actually, so we can take a look.
Exciting.
Great.
I was going to say committee, but we won't be meeting separately anymore. But at least a month, maybe the next month, next 2 months, we will try to have something to show.
Right.
JW, did I miss anything, or Rose? Actually, we didn't officially.
Yeah,
we didn't have a forum.
We couldn't have it.
We just
but we talked through some things. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, great. And yeah, I guess TBA to be announced on the next meeting location, and we'll figure out some more stuff.
Right.
And then any other comments or questions before we move on to announcements? Any announcements? I don't think I have anything. Hearing no announcements, do we have a motion to end June's meeting?
So moved. Arian.
And second from Noah. Please.
Second, JW.
I saw Noah first, but
That's fine. Give it Noah.
you can be third, JW.
No, that's fine.
All in favor?